Masters Radio presents a new series, Music History, Episode 1, Vertical Horizons, Everything You Want.
Title track from their new album, Everything You Want. This is Vertical Horizon.
This was the beginning for Vertical Horizon. Started by two Georgetown students, Keith Kane and Matt Scandell. They started playing music for fun and drinks, but the music ended up taking. Keith came up with the name Vertical Horizon one night at a party for just that moment. But the name stuck and they made history. They started as an acoustic act, rejecting what was popular in the city at that time. Scandell told the LA Times, Fugazi was kind of the DC scene, period. But we tried not to think too much about that at the time. We started doing the acoustic bass thing right around the time Hootie and the Blowfish came out. And it was heartening to see acoustic music coming back to the forefront. We knew that if we had good songs, then we'd be okay. Even though they loved performing, it wasn't as lucrative as you would expect. Matt said to the Times, I play for 700 people and get $25 at the end of the night. I then realized that no one is going to be nice to you. You have to get your own business in order. They both graduated Georgetown, but after graduating, they decided to reward themselves and do a little recording and see what comes up. But first, they wanted to go to Cape Cod for the summer and write songs. Once they got back, they went to Matt's old high school and they started to record. And that is when they learned how to use the studio. And their first album, There and Back Again, was created. After spending 2 years touring in DC, they got a call from a band named Jacko Pierce, a duo from Dallas that heard their album and loved it. And during those RV adventures, they started to gain momentum in Texas. So they ran with it and they started headlining in Texas for around 6 months. They wanted to amp up their sound, and they realized that they needed a bassist and a drummer. Even though they didn't have all of the members of their band yet, they wanted to record as if they did. So they got Carter Beauford from Dave Matthews to come in, a brilliant musician. When making the album Running on Ice, they would go to the studio for a day or two, spend all of their money, and then they would have to go back out on the road to make more. Since they had to keep going back out on the road to make money to fund the album, it took them much longer to release it. So after a little bit over a year, they were able to finally finish and release the album. And after, they needed to go on tour. And to go on tour, they needed to find a drummer. In comes Ed. He was working for Borders in Massachusetts when him and his boss got an invite to a show for Vertical Horizon. After going and enjoying the show, a friend of his named Jason told Ed about them looking for a drummer and to call him up. Went on to a summer tour. They took a little break and then they went back on the road in September. They did 2 shows at Ziggy's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which was their 3rd album, Live Stages. It was a hurricane and over 950 people were there for the first night. The next night, it was sold out. The crowd knew all of their songs and they wanted to make sure to captivate that on the album. See, they were trying to get attention of a label, not just anyone, but the perfect one for their band. And here comes RCA. RCA was a label that made sure that they were comfortable. They made sure that they knew that this was a partnership and not them signing away their life. But at the same time of them signing with RCA, they lost their bass player. And in the late 1997s, they met Sean, who was playing in Massachusetts and heard that they were looking for a new bass player. Sean ended up auditioning for them, but it so happened that he was the first one to audition and they thought it was too good to be true. They told him thank you for the audition and that they would call him again later. And it ended up that they did call him again later. They didn't find anyone as good as Sean, so he ended up joining the band. They had some gigs after that, but more so they started to write and get into the studio. And they really had a good team behind them. For countless hours in and out of the studio, going to different venues, going to different stations, going to different studios, doing everything they possibly could for this sound, they were finally able to release.
So we just got back from Canada. We played the Edge Fest, which was cool, but it's good to be back in the States. This is called Everything You Want. It's on RCA Records. This came out last month. It's the title track of our record. Somewhere they're speaking, it's already coming in. Oh, and it's rising at the back of your mind. Never could get it, see where I've been. Now you're here and you don't know why. Under skin knees of the skin lines, past the base in the way you used to learn. How will I listen and wait for it? Echoes of angels who won't return. He's everything you want. He's everything you need. He's everything inside of you that you wish you could be. He says all the right.
Now, I know in 2024, we are wondering, where is Vertical Horizon now? They are back, and this is their most recent band picture. They also just released an album called The Lost Mile in 2018. This wraps up our first episode of Music History. I am so glad that you guys could watch this. Please stay tuned for episode 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. This